Is your family dysfunctional? I'm a licensed therapist, and in this video I'm going to walk you through 10 signs of a dysfunctional family and what a functional family looks like instead. Let's dive in. Number 1. The scapegoat. Every family has problems, but in dysfunctional families, one person takes all the blame, whether or not it's actually their fault. They're the easiest target, the ones who are constantly criticized, dismissed, or punished. If something goes wrong, it's their fault. If someone else makes a mistake, they take the heat. Over time, the scapegoat starts to believe it. They internalize the idea that they are the problem, even when they're not. This can lead to deep self-doubt, guilt, and an overwhelming need to constantly prove themselves. Many scapegoats grow up with a strong drive for perfectionism, hoping that if they do everything just right, they'll finally gain approval. But in dysfunctional families, that approval never comes. Often, scapegoats are also the truth tellers in the family, the ones who recognize and call out the dysfunction. This makes them even more of a target. Instead of addressing the real issue, the family shifts blame onto the scapegoat, reinforcing their role as the problem. Scapegoats are often compared unfavorably to others, especially a favored sibling. Phrases like, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" or "You always mess things up" become a common theme in their childhood. This leads them to constantly second-guess themselves, struggle with self-worth, and often find themselves in toxic relationships that mirror their upbringing. What does this look like as an adult? Scapegoats often struggle with low self-esteem, imposter syndrome, and difficulty trusting their own judgment. They may enter relationships where they're constantly blamed for problems simply because that dynamic feels familiar. Some develop strong people-pleasing tendencies to avoid conflict, while others become hyper-independent, refusing to rely on anyone. They may find themselves in workplaces where they are unfairly blamed or undervalued, continuing this cycle of mistreatment that they experienced as children. In a functional family, responsibility is shared. Mistakes are owned by the person who made them. Instead of blaming one child, problems are addressed openly and solved together. Number 2. Constant criticism. Feedback is necessary for growth, but in dysfunctional families, criticism isn't constructive. It's relentless. Every mistake is magnified. Every effort is overlooked. Instead of support and encouragement, family members are met with put-downs and disapproval. Parents may use sarcasm, passive-aggressive comments, or outright insults to keep control. "You'll never amount to anything. Why can't you get this right?" These aren't words meant to help a child do better. They're meant to control and diminish. The child learns quickly that love and approval are conditional, and even then, rarely given. Criticism in these families isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Instead of saying, "You made a mistake," a dysfunctional parent might say, "You're so dumb, you'll never get anything right." And through time, this damages a child's self-concept, making them believe that they are inherently flawed. This kind of environment forces family members to walk on eggshells, terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing. They learn that mistakes aren't opportunities to grow. They are proof that they're not good enough. The result is anxiety, low self-worth, and a powerful fear of failure. As adults, this shows up as chronic self-doubt, overanalyzing everything, and never feeling like they measure up. They may become people-pleasers, constantly chasing approval, and they might develop a punishing inner voice that never lets them rest. Some avoid trying anything new out of fear of embarrassment. Others achieve great success but still feel like frauds. In a functional family, feedback is constructive. Mistakes are addressed without attacking identity, effort is recognized, and children are encouraged to learn rather than shamed for failing. Number 3. Parentification. Parentification occurs when a child is forced to take on the role of the parent, meeting emotional or practical needs that should never fall on a child. This might look like comforting a parent who overshares about adult problems, or maybe taking care of siblings or being told that they are responsible for a parent's happiness. On the outside, these children often appear unusually mature. They anticipate others' needs, sense when that tension is rising, and then they step in to fix it. But that maturity comes at the cost of their own development. They don't get to play, explore, or feel carefree. Their childhood is replaced with responsibility. The messages they hear are often subtle but powerful. "Don't upset your mom, she's fragile. You're the only one I can count on. If you really love me, you would make me happy." These shape their core belief that their worth lies in taking care of others. As adults, this shows up in very predictable ways. They become the therapist friend, the one others always lean on but rarely support in return. They're drawn to emotionally needy partners because caretaking feels familiar. They struggle to set boundaries and often feel guilty for relaxing or prioritizing themselves. Burnout becomes a constant companion. In a functional family, parents care for children, not the other way around. Kids may help with small, age-appropriate tasks, but they are free to play, grow, and develop their own identities without carrying adult burdens. Number 4, favoritism. Favoritism may be denied, but in dysfunctional families, it's often obvious one child receives more attention, praise, or leniency, while another is criticized, overlooked, or held to harsher standards. This doesn't just affect the unfavored child. The favored one grows up with unrealistic expectations and pressure to maintain their special status, while the overlooked child grows up believing that they're not worthy of love or recognition. The unfavored child may hear phrases like, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" They grow up in the shadow of someone else's achievements or personality, constantly compared and found lacking. This breeds resentment, insecurity, and a lifelong battle with feelings of inadequacy. The favored child, on the other hand, may be showered with praise and privileges, but this comes with its own cost. They may feel intense guilt, or they may develop entitlement and believe they are superior. Either way, it warps their sense of self. As adults, the unfavored often push themselves relentlessly, chasing validation that never comes. They may compare themselves endlessly to peers or colleagues. The favored one may struggle with identity, guilt, or arrogance, feeling lost when the special treatment fades in the real world. Both roles are damaging. Favoritism doesn't just harm one child, it distorts the entire family dynamic. In a functional family, parents may connect differently with each child's personality, but love and attention are spread evenly. Every child feels valued for who they are, and they're not being constantly compared to their siblings. Number 5, triangulation. Triangulation is when family members use a third person as a messenger instead of dealing directly with one another. A parent might say, "Tell your father I'm still angry at him," or "Tell your mother she needs to stop acting like this." This drags the child into a role they were never meant to play, the mediator. This creates tension, confusion, and mistrust. Instead of resolving conflict, it spreads it. Siblings may be pitted against one another, with one child turned into the ally and the other into the enemy. Parents may manipulate children into taking sides, forcing loyalty tests that tear the family apart. Growing up this way teaches kids that communication isn't safe. They learn to avoid direct conversations or to expect betrayal. They often feel like pawns in someone else's game. As adults, this can look like fear of confrontation, distrust in relationships, or an inability to speak directly about problems. They may get caught up in gossip or play the role of go-between without realizing it, repeating the same pattern they grew up in. Triangulation is terrible because it diminishes trust and honesty, replacing them with manipulation and secrets. In a functional family, communication is direct. Problems are addressed between the people involved without dragging children or third parties into the conflict. Number 6, enmeshment. Enmeshment happens when family boundaries are so blurred that individuality is erased. Privacy doesn't exist. Choices are controlled. Independence is guilted or punished. A parent might insist on being involved in every detail of their child's life: what they wear, who they date, what career they choose. They may even claim their child's successes as their own. On the surface, it can look like closeness, but in reality, it's control. Children raised in enmeshed homes hear messages like, "If you loved us, you wouldn't keep secrets," or "Why would you want to move out?" These messages create guilt for wanting autonomy. As adults, they may struggle to know who they are separate from others. They might feel guilty for setting boundaries or worry constantly about disappointing people. They may attract partners who are controlling or smothering because that dynamic feels familiar. Enmeshment doesn't just block independence, it blocks identity itself. Learning to say, "This is who I am," feels foreign and even frightening after a childhood where individuality was seen as betrayal. In a functional family, closeness exists alongside individuality. Parents encourage independence, respect privacy, and support their child's ability to form their own identity. Number 7, emotional neglect. Emotional neglect is often invisible but deeply damaging. A child's physical needs may be met, food, shelter, clothing, but their emotional needs are ignored. When a child is constantly told, "Stop crying, it's not a big deal," or "You're too sensitive," they learn that their emotions are wrong. They stop reaching out for comfort and begin to bottle everything inside. On the surface, they may seem fine, but inside, they feel empty, unseen, and unsupported. This kind of upbringing teaches children that love is conditional and emotions are a burden. They often become self-sufficient to a fault, convinced that nobody will ever show up for them emotionally. As adults, this can look like emotional numbness, difficulty forming close bonds, or avoiding vulnerability altogether. They may struggle to identify their own feelings, brushing them aside until they erupt in unhealthy ways. Some throw themselves into work or achievement, hoping success will fill that void. Others withdraw from relationships completely. Emotional neglect is like growing up in a house where food is always stocked, but no one ever looks you in the eye or asks how you feel. The absence leaves scars just as real as more obvious forms of dysfunction. In a functional family, emotions are acknowledged, validated, and supported. Parents listen, comfort, and help children make sense of what they feel. Number 8, family secrets. Many dysfunctional families live under an unspoken rule: we don't talk about it. Problems may be clear to everyone, but openly acknowledging them is forbidden. Children quickly learn that protecting the family image is more important than telling the truth. This creates deep confusion. A child sees one reality at home, but is forced to present another outside. They may be warned not to air dirty laundry or threatened into silence. This teaches them that honesty is dangerous and loyalty means lying. As adults, they often carry shame around admitting struggles. They may hide their pain, avoid therapy, or feel unsafe being vulnerable. Some minimize what they went through, while others feel an almost compulsive need to keep secrets in their own relationships. Family secrets don't just protect dysfunction, they perpetuate it. They keep cycles alive by silencing the very people who could break them. In a functional family, honesty is encouraged. Problems are addressed openly and responsibly without secrecy or denial. Number 9, lack of boundaries. In dysfunctional families, boundaries are often ignored or completely erased. Privacy isn't respected. Bedroom doors are open without knocking. Journals are read. Phones are checked. Even emotional boundaries are violated when parents dismiss or mock a child's feelings, making it clear that their inner world isn't safe either. This environment leaves children deeply confused about where they end and others begin. They may grow up unsure of what's theirs to protect. Saying no feels selfish, and asserting themselves feels dangerous. Some learn to tolerate constant intrusion, letting others take advantage of them because that's all they've ever known. Others swing in the opposite direction, building walls so thick and rigid that no one can get close, because closeness feels like a threat. As adults, this pattern shows up everywhere. In relationships, they might accept being smothered or controlled, mistaking it for love, or maybe they withdraw and isolate, avoiding intimacy because they fear it will lead to the same kind of invasion they experienced growing up. Boundaries aren't walls that push people away, they're what make safe connection possible. But when someone grows up in a family where boundaries were constantly crossed, learning to set and hold them later on becomes a lifelong challenge. In a functional family, boundaries are respected, privacy is honored, individuality is supported, and no is treated as a valid response rather than a rejection. Number 10, no accountability and no repair. In many dysfunctional families, no one takes ownership when harm is done. Apologies are rare or vague. People blame, minimize, or rewrite what happened. Conflicts end with the silent treatment, cold distance, or pretending nothing happened. Kids learn that admitting fault is dangerous and that closeness can disappear without warning. Over time, this teaches children to either over-own everything or never own anything. As adults, they may struggle to apologize clearly, they may fear conflict because it never leads to resolution, or they may keep score and hold grudges because there was never a roadmap for making things right. Relationships feel fragile because one argument can fracture everything. In a functional family, people take responsibility for their impact. They use clear language, name what went wrong, and apologize specifically. They make amends, agree on changes, and follow through. Conflict is not the end of connection. It's an opportunity to repair and strengthen the relationship. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and see you in the next one.